I'm 79 years old, and this afternoon I was too afraid to take the trash out. Not because it was dark or raining or there was something dangerous outside. Because carrying the bag from my kitchen to the bin at the curb felt too risky. Too many steps, too much distance, too many things that could go wrong. I stood there holding that trash bag, looking at my front door like it was a threshold I couldn't cross, and I realized, with a sinking, cold feeling, that I'd crossed a different threshold already. The one where normal, everyday tasks had stopped feeling manageable and started feeling dangerous. Where living alone had quietly shifted from independent to precarious. It didn't start with the trash. It started months ago, with smaller things I barely registered at the time. I'd hesitate before stepping into the shower, thinking about the wet floor. I'd pause at the top of the stairs, calculating the risk of going down. I'd stand in front of the microwave, wondering if I could safely carry a hot bowl to the table without dropping it or burning myself. Little moments of hesitation that grew longer. Little calculations of risk that grew more elaborate. Little fears that grew louder until they were drowning out everything else. At first, I convinced myself I was just being cautious, smart, careful in my old age. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Assess risks, move slowly, think before acting. But somewhere along the way, caution became paralysis. Being careful became being afraid. And being afraid became the lens through which I saw every single task in my daily life. I live alone. I've lived alone for 13 years since my husband died. And living alone after 75 means every risk you take alone. Every task that goes wrong, you face the consequences alone. There's no one there to catch you if you fall carrying that trash bag. No one to help if you slip getting out of the shower. No one to take over the tasks that have started to feel unsafe. You either do them afraid, or you stop doing them at all. Have you felt this shift? This change from confidence to fear in tasks you've done 1,000 times? The shower became the first thing I started avoiding. The combination of water, soap, slippery surfaces, and the need to stand and balance and reach, it all added up to something that felt genuinely dangerous. I started taking quick showers, barely getting clean, just rushing through to minimize the risk. Then I started skipping days, washing up at the sink instead, telling myself it was good enough, that a full shower wasn't necessary every day. But really, I was afraid. Afraid of falling. Afraid of slipping. Afraid of being found hours later, hurt and naked and helpless. When was the last time something as basic as washing yourself didn't fill you with dread? The stairs got worse too. I have 5 steps leading up to my front door, and 5 more inside going down to the basement. Nothing dramatic. Nothing most people would think twice about. But I started thinking about them constantly. Every time I needed to go up or down, I'd plan it out. Make sure I had something to hold on to. Check that I wasn't carrying anything that might throw off my balance. Sometimes I'd stand there for minutes, working up the courage, feeling my heart race at the thought of those few simple steps. I stopped going to the basement at all. Too risky. The laundry is down there, so I started washing clothes less often, wearing things multiple times. Eventually, I just started throwing away clothes when they got too dirty because going down those stairs to wash them felt more dangerous than wasteful. And I knew that was wrong. Knew that was extreme. But the fear was bigger than the logic. Cooking became frightening. The stove meant fire and heat and heavy pots full of boiling water. The oven meant bending down and reaching in and the possibility of burning myself. Knives meant cutting and the risk of slipping and hurting myself badly with no one there to help stop the bleeding. I started eating simpler and simpler meals. Things that didn't require cooking. Things that came in packages I could open without sharp objects. Cold food, simple food, inadequate food. Because preparing anything more complex felt too dangerous to attempt alone. Do you find yourself eating less, eating worse, because cooking has become something that frightens you? I stopped changing the sheets on my bed. That sounds small, almost silly, but think about what it requires. Lifting the mattress to tuck in corners, reaching across the bed, bending and stretching and using strength I'm not sure I have anymore. What if I lost my balance, leaning over the bed? What if I pulled something? What if I fell and couldn't get up? So the sheets stayed on, week after week, month after month, getting dirtier, and I pretended not to notice. Taking out the trash became the symbol of everything I'd lost. It's such a simple task, such a normal, everyday thing. You put trash in a bag, you carry it outside, you put it in the bin. I've done it 10,000 times in my life. But now, thinking about it, all I could see were the risks. What if the bag was too heavy and I couldn't lift it? What if I lost my balance carrying it? What if I tripped on the front steps? What if I fell in the driveway and couldn't get up? What if I had a dizzy spell halfway there? The trash piled up in my kitchen, bags sitting there, getting fuller, starting to smell, because I couldn't make myself take them out. And I'd look at them and feel this crushing shame. Shame that I'd become someone who couldn't do something as basic as taking out the garbage. Shame that elderly living alone had turned me into someone paralyzed by fear of ordinary tasks. My neighbor knocked on my door last week. She'd noticed my trash bin was empty on collection day and wanted to check if I was okay. I lied and said I'd been busy, hadn't had much trash that week. But she looked past me into my kitchen, and I knew she could see the bags sitting there, could probably smell them. She offered to take them out for me, and I got defensive, said I'd do it later, shut the door on her kindness because accepting it meant admitting how bad things had gotten. But things had gotten bad, really bad. I was living in a house where I was afraid to use the shower, afraid to use the stairs, afraid to cook, afraid to change my sheets, afraid to take out the trash, afraid of everything. And that fear was creating genuinely dangerous conditions. Living in dirt because I couldn't clean safely, not bathing because the shower felt too risky, not eating properly because cooking was frightening. Isolated in a house that was becoming increasingly unlivable because every task required to maintain it felt unsafe. My son came to visit yesterday. I'd been avoiding his calls, making excuses not to see him, because I didn't want him to see how I was living. But he showed up anyway. And he saw everything. The trash, the unwashed laundry, the filthy sheets, the nearly empty refrigerator, because I'd stopped cooking and shopping both felt too dangerous. He saw me, unwashed, wearing the same clothes I'd had on for days, looking like someone who'd given up. He didn't yell. He just looked at me with this expression of profound sadness and said, "Mum, this can't continue. You're not safe here like this." And I wanted to argue, wanted to defend myself, but I couldn't. Because he was right. I wasn't safe. Not because of some dramatic health crisis or injury, but because fear had made me unable to do the basic tasks required to live. Because aging and independence had turned into aging and imprisonment in my own fear. We spent the day talking about what I was afraid of. About when everyday tasks had started feeling dangerous. About what I needed to make them feel safe again. And he didn't talk about nursing homes. He talked about solutions. About getting grab bars installed in the shower and a shower chair so bathing felt safer. About a railing for the front steps. About meal delivery services so I didn't have to cook. About someone coming a few times a week to help with the tasks that frightened me. About building safety around my fears instead of letting the fears control my life. It's been 2 days. The changes are starting. The grab bars go in tomorrow. Someone is coming to help me shower until I feel confident doing it alone with the new safety features. A service will pick up my trash and recyclables. Meals will be delivered. And someone will be here 3 times a week to help with laundry, changing sheets, the tasks I've been avoiding because they felt too risky alone. I'm learning that when everyday tasks start feeling unsafe, that's not just fear talking. That's your body and mind telling you something has changed, that you need support, that living alone after 75 or any age without the right help isn't independence, it's danger. And that recognizing that, accepting help, building safety systems, that's how you actually stay independent. That's how you stay in your home, instead of being forced out by a crisis your fear created. If everyday tasks are starting to feel dangerous, if you're avoiding showers or stairs or cooking or anything else because you're afraid, if fear is making you live in conditions that aren't safe or clean or healthy, please hear what I'm saying. This is serious. This is urgent. This is how people end up hurt or isolated or forced into nursing homes when they could have stayed home with the right support. There's still time to build that support. There's still time to install grab bars and get help and create safety around the tasks that frighten you. But there's not unlimited time. And waiting until fear has made your home genuinely unlivable, until you've hurt yourself or made yourself sick from the conditions you're living in. That's when you lose all control over what happens next. So please, be honest about your fears. What tasks feel unsafe? What are you avoiding? How is that avoidance affecting how you live? Because those fears are messages. They're telling you that you need help, that you need to adapt, that you need support to keep living safely. If this resonated with you, if you recognized that fear controlling your life, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who might be paralyzed by the same fears. Leave a comment telling me what feels unsafe to you, because you're not alone in this. Hit the like button if you found this honest and real. We need to talk about fear. We need to stop letting it control us. Real independence is building the safety that lets you keep living. And that's something I'm learning, one supported task at a time.